What advice would you give an organization that wants to really take on and develop distributed leadership within their organizations, whether it be at the ED level, the staff level, or the board level? What do we say? What do we tell them?
We are not all equal, and we also actually shouldn't all be treated equally, because we all need very different things to be supported based on historical oppression and like sort of current dynamics that we've inherited, whether we like it or not. Finding ways to center that work and that awareness and center the education around it, to me, is key. The distributed leadership can't happen in a way that is mutually beneficial for everyone and for the organization if there isn't a very keen commitment to that. And knowing that it's not going to happen with one training or two training, right? It's an in-process commitment to learning, so that when, someone you've hired, let's say, right, you didn't even intentionally mean to do it, but say you hire someone like of color or like a trans person, you're like, oh great, this makes us more diverse. Like, actually, how do they feel about it? You know what I mean? Like, are they supported in this space? And being really open to hearing those conversations.
It's been really freeing to understand that there isn't a set model, there isn't a set way. I had started coming to that conclusion a little bit on my own. It was more like, maybe we could borrow from here and borrow from here and borrow from there. But even that, I couldn't fully find something that fit our organization in a way that I thought honored our organization exactly. And so I guess just some advice would be that's okay. And it's a learning process, and as organizations, hopefully we're aiming to constantly be evolving anyway. So even if it was like cookie cutter, it would probably change if you're evolving as an organization. And so that's been freeing and exciting for me to now go back to Spokane and look at this a little bit differently.
Having a vocabulary to name and talk about what you're trying to do is something that I'm taking away from this conversation. To be able to talk about it together and kind of use words like distributed leadership, which before recently was not really a part of my vocabulary, helps focus the work and helps everyone understand what we're going for. And along with that, with the vocabulary, I think, is this ultimate goal of continuous learning and feedback, and that has to be integrated into the work, reflection, evaluation, being data-driven when it's appropriate.
Yeah,
I think it's very important to have realistic expectations of people in your organization, because people bring different things. It doesn't matter what the structure is of an organization. Every person's going to bring something different to the situation. Certainly on the musical level, in our orchestra, some people are big talkers. Some people like to talk about music, like to talk about their ideas and their philosophies about a particular piece of music, but other people really demonstrate through their playing alone and can be very inspiring that way. Other people like to wait until much later in the process to say anything. And new people coming into the organization really don't like to say anything at all. They want to get used to the system. It's so easy to, once you have a structure set up, to expect people to behave a certain way and to perform exactly the same as the one before, or whoever succeeds. But you just can't do that. You have to be respectful of what people bring to any situation.
I went through a transition at Cal Shakes where when I first came in, I kind of stayed in my own lane. I did supervise a very large staff right off the bat, and I think that within that staff, I was able to kind of do whatever I wanted and create a distributed leadership model, even though I didn't have words for that, because that is what's more natural to me. But I didn't share it with anybody else in the organization. I protected my staff very much so from other people in the organization, because it had been so kind of vertical in terms of its power structure. And then when we started to do some of this work around equity, diversity, inclusion, I realized, oh wait, now I can do those things that I was doing in that small kind of small
Safe
way
space,
and
yeah.
spread it out through, and I can actually take a leadership role in the organization. So it was this really interesting journey for me that showed me that you can actually work on this concept from any angle, being in any position in the organization. Kind of like you were saying, you know, inside of Denver Center, they're sort of off center, and there's these other leadership models that are able to happen. So you can work at it from that level, or you can work at it from the big picture. But I do think in order for it to take hold in the larger organization, it does have to have buy-in from the top, including the board. I think the board, even if they don't fully understand it, have to buy into some level. It's all of the kind of like awareness training, like doing that on your own in your own personal life, where you're at.